There are few figures in modern intellectual history whose life reads like a map of the 20th century's greatest triumphs and cruelties. One man's mind bridged abstract mathematics and emergent machines, decrypted the guarded whisperings of wartime strategy, and asked questions that still define how we think about thinking. His name is Alan Matheson Turing. He was born on June 23, 1912, in Maida Vale, London. His life spanned just 41 years, yet his ideas reverberate through every device in our pockets, every algorithm that sorts our information, and every contemporary debate about the nature of intelligence and the ethics that surround it. This is the story of that life. The boy who loved puzzles, the scholar who formalized computation, the wartime codebreaker whose inventions shortened a global conflict, the scientist who imagined intelligent machines, and the man who suffered persecution for a truth about himself that society then could not accept. It is a story of intellectual audacity and human vulnerability, an account that insists we consider not only the brilliance of ideas, but also the context in which they emerge, and how societies choose to honor or to fail the minds that shape their destinies. We begin at the beginning. Alan Matheson Turing entered the world into a family that sat comfortably within the British imperial structure. His father, Julius Matheson Turing, served in the Indian civil service, a career that tied the household to the rhythms of empire and to long stretches of separation. His mother, Ethel Sarah, managed the family's affairs in England. These practical arrangements meant that Alan's earliest years unfolded under a kind of temporal tension. A child rooted in English streets, but shaped by a family life that reached across continents. From an early age, the habits of his mind were evident. Where other children accepted games and rules, young Alan probed their limits. He was captivated by numbers, by patterns, by the quiet logic hidden in the ordinary world. He did not seek approval through conventional achievements. He sought understanding in the small, exact things that fascinated him. When teachers mistook his focus for aloofness, they did not yet perceive the deep thoughtfulness that would characterize his later work. Education should have been a sanctuary for a child like Alan, yet it sometimes proved a mismatch. At Sherborne School, classical studies dominated. Latin, Greek, a curriculum that prized the disciplined recitation of the past. Turing's temperament leaned toward experimentation and abstraction. He was the kind of student who read problems as invitations to imagine new systems, rather than as exercises to be completed. A headmaster's note to Alan's parents counseled greater devotion to conventional subjects, a well-intentioned admonition that masked a fundamental misunderstanding. The school prepared boys for public life. It did not always know how to nurture the radical curiosity of a person who would invent a new intellectual framework. A friendship from these years matters to the story. Christopher Morcom. Their connection was intense, intellectual, and formative. Christopher's sudden death in 1930 from bovine tuberculosis left a wound in Alan's life, not merely personal, but existential. Mourning sharpened Alan's questions about mortality and about the essence of life itself. Some of his later inquiries, those into whether machines might simulate living processes, can be traced to the shock of that loss. Where others might have retreated, Turing dug deeper into the architecture of reality. In 1931, Alan Turing entered King's College, Cambridge. It was a place where classical lineage met radical thought. At Cambridge, he found peers and mentors who did not merely tolerate his deviations, but stimulated them. The milieu was intellectually electric. Within a few years, Cambridge recognized his extraordinary gifts. In 1935, he was elected a Fellow of King's College, an exceptional honor that acknowledged both his technical skill and the originality of his thinking. It was here that Turing encountered the profound problems that would define parts of the 20th century's mathematical landscape. Kurt Gödel's incompleteness theorems and the rising investigations into the limits of formal systems posed questions that reached to the foundations of logic. Turing did more than admire those theorems. He sought to translate their implications into a concrete, mechanistic language. What, he asked, does it mean to compute? What constitutes a calculation, if not a series of precise operations with predictable results? The answer he proposed in 1936 changed everything. In a paper deceptively titled On Computable Numbers, with an application to the Entscheidungsproblem, he described a theoretical machine, a device of abstract parts, a tape, a head, a set of rules, that could, in principle, execute any algorithm. He called it a universal machine. Today, we call this the Turing machine. It was not an engineering blueprint for a particular device. It was a conceptual proof that machines could, in principle, carry out the operations we associate with calculation. The Turing machine made explicit the idea that computation could be formalized, a sequence of discrete steps governed by a finite set of rules. Turing's construct was elegantly simple and deeply radical. It showed that the notion of algorithm could be captured in a formal model. This model established a common language for what would become computer science. It also illuminated a different truth. There are limits to computation. There exist problems that no machine, nor any finite set of rules, could solve. That realization, just as much about possibility as about limitation, announced a new kind of intellectual humility, even as it inaugurated an optimistic project to see what machines could do. In the late 1930s, Turing took his ideas to Princeton University, where he studied under Alonzo Church. Princeton at that time was a hub of formal logic and mathematical rigor. Turing deepened his investigations into logic, ordinal systems, and the boundaries of formal reasoning. The exchange of thought between Church's lambda calculus and Turing's machine formalism proved fortuitous. Divergent approaches converged on a common assertion about computability. What Church had offered as an abstract calculus, Turing framed as mechanistic process. Both answers, in their different ways, set the stage for later technological realities. At Princeton, Turing produced a doctoral dissertation that extended his theoretical reach. He displayed a rare mix, the capacity to wrestle with the most abstract problems while retaining an eye for structure and implementation. He encountered American scientific culture, more pragmatic and application-minded than the British tradition he had known, which would later resonate when applied research became necessary in the context of global war. As the decade closed, the world darkened. Total war was on the horizon, and Turing's thought would have consequences far beyond the ivory tower. When war arrived in 1939, the British government centralized its interception and analysis of German communications at Bletchley Park, a country estate transformed into a fortress of secrecy. Within his huts were codebreakers, linguists, mathematicians, and engineers, their labor invisible to the world. Among them, Alan Turing became a central figure. Germany's communications relied heavily on the Enigma machine, an electromechanical rotor device whose permutations rendered messages unintelligible to anyone lacking the daily keys. German operators believed in its invulnerability. They had reason to. Enigma's combinatorial complexity was immense. The machine could be configured in billions of ways. Breaking it required not only mathematical insight, but also inventive engineering. Turing joined the effort and brought a singular combination of formal reasoning and practical inventiveness. He built upon the earlier and crucial work of Polish cryptanalysts, who had first exposed vulnerabilities in Enigma, and he introduced the bomb, an electromechanical apparatus designed to automate the search through possible rotor settings. The bomb reduced a task that would have taken impossibly long for humans into a manageable, methodical process. But codebreaking is not a theatre of lone geniuses. Bletchley Park was a collective enterprise. It succeeded because scholars, linguists, mathematicians, and engineers shared ideas across disciplines. Turing's role, crucial though it was, sat within that broader network of collaboration. He developed statistical methods, pattern recognition techniques, and operational strategies that would be integrated into wider intelligence systems. The fruits of that labor were collected under the secret umbrella codenamed Ultra. Ultra intelligence gave the Allies a window into German operational plans, troop movements, supply convoys, naval positions. The information shaped strategic decisions at the highest levels. Historians now estimate that the intelligence produced by Bletchley Park shortened the war by years and saved countless lives. Winston Churchill's praise, calling the cryptanalysts the geese that laid the golden eggs but never cackled, hinted at the paradox of their situation. Their success was decisive, their service invisible. Even for those who had lived through it, the depth of the achievement remained classified for decades. Turing's wartime work was not merely technical genius applied to machines. It was an exercise in operational imagination. How to design systems for turning ambiguous signals into usable knowledge quickly and reliably. Those systems, algorithms of detection, statistical inference, and machine-assisted search, anticipated problems in later computing and in contemporary data science. How to separate signal from noise under conditions of uncertainty. The lessons of Bletchley Park thus echo into our present age, where information overload and pattern extraction remain central challenges. After the armistice, Turing turned his attention to peacetime applications of computation. The wartime secrecy that had shielded Bletchley Park bound knowledge in place. Many of the innovations that had helped win the war could not be publicly acknowledged for years. Nevertheless, Turing's mind moved from code-breaking to building. At the National Physical Laboratory in London, he proposed the automatic computing engine, ACE. It was an early model of what a stored program computer might be. Turing's designs were detailed and visionary. He imagined machines that could hold programs in memory and execute them flexibly, a powerful step beyond fixed-function devices. Bureaucratic delays and institutional resistance slowed progress. Turing, who preferred building to administrative maneuvering, found these constraints frustrating. In 1948, he joined the University of Manchester, where the Manchester Mark I, an early operational computer, offered an environment more congenial to invention. Here, his theoretical ideas connected in a tangible way with the engineering realities of electronic computation. This period marked the transition from the abstract Turing machine to functioning machines that could be programmed, experimented upon, and scaled. What Turing pursued was not merely speed or arithmetic, it was a program of intellectual expansion. Machines for him were instruments for exploring the bounds of mind and machine, tools that could extend human thought. He envisioned a future in which computation would enable new ways of understanding biological processes, cognition, and the very structure of problem solving. In 1950, Turing published an essay that would become one of the most cited and contested in the discussion about intelligence: computing machinery and intelligence. He began not with a definition, but with an experiment in framing, what he called the imitation game, to avoid the thorny and perhaps insoluble issue of defining thinking. Turing proposed a behavioral test. If a machine could produce responses indistinguishable from those of a human in a conversational setting, then for practical purposes, it could be considered intelligent. This proposal, now commonly referred to as the Turing test, did not claim to settle metaphysical questions about consciousness. It did something else. It offered an operational criterion that shifted the argument from metaphysics into empirical territory. It invited scientists, engineers, and philosophers to build and test systems against observable behavior, to treat intelligence as performance rather than as a privileged inner life. That reframing was both pragmatic and audacious. The Turing test spawned decades of debate, criticism, and refinement. Some accused Turing of reducing mind to mimicry. Others praised him for giving the field a tractable benchmark. The test's lasting power lies less in its definitive authority than in the questions it continues to provoke. What counts as thinking? Can simulation ever become genuine understanding? As artificial intelligence has advanced, from rule-based systems to machine learning models that digest vast corpora of data, Turing's thought remains a touchstone. Contemporary AI systems that can generate text, translate languages, and play complex strategy games can be seen as descendants of the questions Turing posed, even as they confront limitations he anticipated. Turing's curiosity did not stop at machines. He turned his analytical gaze to living systems. In 1952, he published a paper called The Chemical Basis of Morphogenesis, which built mathematical models explaining how patterns, stripes on fish, spots on leopards, the arrangement of plant structures, could arise from simple chemical processes interacting in space and time. Turing's approach employed reaction-diffusion equations. Local chemical reactions coupled with diffusion across space could, under certain conditions, spontaneously generate ordered patterns from homogeneous beginnings. The insight was illuminating. It suggested that complex biological forms could emerge from simple rules applied repeatedly across space and time. The paper created a bridge between theoretical mathematics and developmental biology. Although Turing's work in biology was not immediately recognized with the enthusiasm it merited, partly because the scientific community was preoccupied with other pressing concerns, it has since become a foundational contribution to mathematical biology. Contemporary researchers have used his models to understand developmental processes across species, network formation, and even certain ecological phenomena. This aspect of his work reveals a consistently generative quality. Turing sought the simplest mechanisms that could account for observed complexity. That methodological humility, searching for small rules that yield grand patterns, remains influential. In 1952, the public life of Alan Turing suffered a blow that was both intimate and political. Britain's legal system then criminalized homosexual acts. When Turing's personal life was exposed, after a burglary report led to an inquiry, he was charged with gross indecency. Faced with a choice between imprisonment and a medical regime, he accepted chemical castration, hormonal treatment intended to suppress sexual desire. The therapy had devastating physical and psychological effects. It was a punishment that sought not simply to sanction behavior, but to alter the body and the self. More damaging still was what the conviction cost him professionally. Turing's security clearance was revoked, effectively ending his ability to work with government projects. For a man whose life had been dedicated to exploring systems of secrecy and openness, the irony was cruel. The very state that had benefited from his wartime brilliance now barred him from work that might have furthered technological development. The loss was not only personal but communal. Scientific progress was impeded by prejudice. On June 7, 1954, Alan Turing was found dead in his home in Wilmslow, Cheshire. An inquest concluded that he had died by suicide from cyanide poisoning. A half-eaten apple found nearby has long been the subject of speculation. Some saw in it a symbolic act. Others have suggested the apple was incidental and that the death might have been accidental. The precise circumstances remain a matter of debate. What cannot be debated is the loss. A brilliant mind extinguished while society still failed to protect basic dignity and freedom. Turing's death became another chapter in a longer story of how states and institutions have sometimes failed those who do not conform to narrow norms. Yet history also grants a measure of redress. Decades later, Britain would publicly acknowledge the injustice that had been done. For many years, the full account of Turing's wartime achievements remained shrouded in secrecy. When the archive doors opened and historians pieced together Bletchley Park's story, the public discovered the scale of what had been achieved in those quiet huts. Recognition grew, statues were erected, biographies appeared, and cultural works, plays, films, books, sought to capture his life. In 2009, then Prime Minister Gordon Brown issued an official apology on behalf of the British government, describing the treatment Turing received as appalling. Later, in 2013, Queen Elizabeth II granted him a posthumous royal pardon. These gestures, while symbolic, represented a broader cultural reckoning, a recognition that legal and social norms had once been instruments of harm. Institutions honored his intellectual legacy. The Turing Award, established earlier by the Association for Computing Machinery, gained status as the highest accolade in computer science. Monuments in Cambridge and Manchester, plaques and exhibitions, and Turing's presence on the Bank of England's £50 note in 2019 all marked a shift from secrecy and silence to commemoration. The tide of public memory had turned. Yet commemoration without critique would be incomplete. Honoring Turing's scientific contributions must go hand in hand with acknowledging the injustice he suffered, and with ensuring that scientific communities and societies today protect dignity and freedom for all their members. Turing's ideas are woven through the fabric of modern life. The universal machine he described is the theoretical ancestor of every programmable computer. Software that structures global commerce, that enables instant communication, that sorts our images and directs our attention, all descend from the conceptual foundations he articulated. The field of artificial intelligence, now a vast constellation of techniques, architectures, and applications, owes at least part of its origin to Turing's simple, courageous question: can machines think? Turing's contribution to cryptanalysis gave rise to an entire discipline of information security. The wartime lessons about secrecy, signal, and inference matured into contemporary practices in cybersecurity, cryptography, and secure communications. His reaction diffusion models seeded a way of thinking about biological complexity that still informs developmental biology and systems analysis. More subtly, Turing's career models the integration of theoretical rigor with practical invention. He moved between pure abstraction and applied engineering with a kind of graceful facility. He demonstrated that foundational questions about the limits of formal systems, about what computation is, about how simple rules produce complex forms are not merely academic. They are the very bedrock upon which technologies with societal impact are built. But legacy is not a passive inheritance. Turing's life invites a future-facing set of responsibilities. As computation becomes ever more embedded in social systems, his questions about behavior, simulation, and ethical consequence become ever more urgent. If machines can imitate humanity in speech, decision, and creativity, what obligations do designers have? If algorithms shape opportunity and constrain agency, how do we preserve fairness and protect dignity? Turing's work asks us not only to build, but to think about the terms under which we build. There are at least 3 intertwined lessons to draw from Turing's life that speak directly to our present and future. First, the intellectual courage to recast questions in operational terms is powerful. Turing did not insist on metaphysical definitions when they closed off inquiry. Instead, he devised experiments and models that moved the debate into arenas where engineering and empirical testing could matter. This pragmatic reframing, asking how something might be recognized, modeled, or performed, remains a guiding method in fields where abstraction often stalls progress. Second, the institutions that enable discovery can also inflict harm. Turing's persecution is a stark reminder that legal systems, professional gatekeeping, and social norms shape the trajectory of scientific work and the lives of scientists. Societies must therefore ensure that their institutions protect those who think differently, and that they do not allow prejudice to siphon off talent and humanity. Third, the reach of fundamental ideas can be profound and unpredictable. Turing's 1936 conceptual device became the foundation of an industry, revolutionized warfare and diplomacy, influenced biology, and precipitated ethical debates we face today. There is a humility and gravity in the realization that ideas, once set in motion, can reshape whole societies. Those who create must therefore be mindful of potential consequences. The ethic of invention must grow alongside technical competence. If we are to honor Turing properly, we must do more than celebrate his intellect. We must carry forward his spirit of imaginative, yet disciplined inquiry and commit to building institutions that protect human dignity. We must continue to ask uncomfortable questions about the tools we make and to legislate and design architectures that reflect ethical values. Alan Turing's life contains a difficult symmetry. His mind sought to render intelligible the most opaque systems, mathematical formalisms, secret communications, morphogenetic processes, and the prospect of machine cognition. Yet, in an era when his personal truth was criminalized, he found himself rendered unintelligible to the state and exposed to its punitive mechanisms. The paradox is painful. A man who decoded complexity died in a society that failed to decode his humanity. This paradox also sharpens our obligation. Great ideas should not insulate us from moral responsibility. Rather, they should intensify it. Turing's universal machine taught the world that a single architecture could carry many forms of intelligence. In that teaching is a metaphor for society. Systems we build must be able to carry diverse human forms without crushing them. Alan Turing's story matters not because it is sealed in a museum of facts, but because it continues to speak. It speaks through the devices we use and the algorithms that shape our days. It speaks through the questions we continue to ask about what thinking is, what life is, and what responsibilities we bear as creators. To remember Turing is to remember that the future is not merely a landscape of new tools. It is a moral territory we must cultivate with rigor, imagination, and compassion. Alan Turing's story reminds us that brilliance and vision can change the course of history, but it also warns us of the cost when society fails to protect its brightest minds. His legacy lives on in every computer, every algorithm, and in the ongoing questions about intelligence and justice that shape our world today. If you found value in this journey through Turing's life and legacy, I invite you to support the channel by subscribing, sharing this video, and joining the conversation in the comments below. Your engagement helps bring more stories of history, science, and human resilience to light. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep seeking knowledge and questioning the world around you.